Hey, what's going on, fellow Hoosiers? Great to be back here with you for another episode of Under the Hood with IU Football, presented by your Central Indiana Ford dealers, a proud sponsor of IU Football. Visit your local Central Indiana Ford dealer today. Rhett Lewis back here with you as we kind of wrap up what was obviously a tough one at the Rock on Saturday and fall into Rutgers. And look, doesn't get any easier this week, right? Traveling to Happy Valley, take on Penn State, one of the best teams in the country and in this conference. But part of the reason we love this game is because of the challenge it presents. And fact of the matter is there are 5 opportunities that remain this season for an opportunity then to earn a 6th. And that's where we sit now as we get to welcome another guest to the program here this week. And our next guest, of course, played and obviously coaches at the collegiate level while also spending the better part of 2 decades coaching in the NFL. He has a wealth of football knowledge and experience in his second season as running backs coach and associate head coach here at Indiana. Craig Johnson is here with us. Coach, thanks for giving us a few minutes here on a busy Monday for you guys as you try to close the book on Rutgers and get ready here for Penn State this week. But glad to get a chance to talk to you.
It's great to be here all the time, Rhett.
Yep.
Fired up.
Yes, indeed. And so let's start right here with, it's kind of the obvious question, when things start to when losses pile up a little bit, right? How do you get the team back, after a tough loss? What have you seen in your career when you've had a couple of tough games in a row and you're trying to get that positivity back for another big week of preparation?
I would say in a short thing, that once every game's over, it's over. You never get it back. So whether you're running out of time, as I say, in a game, or you were victorious, the next week, you got to be ready to go. So that's just the way every week goes into your next week. So every week is a challenge. And I don't care who or what type of opponent we're playing the very next week. We're going to have to play, if we're in the Big Ten, we're going to be playing a good one. Obviously, we're going to play a really good opponent. But the bottom line is you keep your routine going. You tell the guys what I tell them all the time. You keep the good from you learn from the last game and lose the bad and get ready for your next opponent. And that's why you love being in this conference.
That's it. I think that was well said, Coach. And as, again, trying to get that positivity back, that mentality back each week that you need to prepare the right way. It almost seems like you get lost in the work, and that's the best way to kind of refocus this thing each week, right?
Absolutely. Coaches are pretty methodical, and we stay kind of in our routine. And so, again, run out of time or you get a victory, I got to get ready for my next opponent. And I know that, like I said, every game in this conference is going to be a challenge. That's the way it is. And we go to the next game. You tell your players, win or lose, we got a big game ahead of us. And it is the biggest game on the schedule because it's the next game.
Better believe it. All right. And so let's take what you were just talking about there and lose the bad, get, build on the good and take that and apply that to what we saw at Rutgers from your guys in particular. How would you kind of assess that part of it? What do you want to lose from that game, and what do you want to build on moving forward here?
Well, obviously, first and foremost, protecting the ball and protecting the quarterback is a big deal. And as far as protecting the ball, as far as offensively, I thought we did a good job. But one of our players from our room had a turnover, and that's never good. Don't like that. So anytime you don't do that, that's not a good thing. And we had about a pressure and a half on the quarterback. I always measure that. So that was not kind of what we wanted. But in the running game, one of the things that you think as a positive is all of our guys as a group, we probably had our best running game production this year as a group. I think all of them really good in the running game. And that's just one phase, though. Our pass routes, and we had catches and we did stuff, but we still had a couple times. My rule, golden rule with the backs know is you touch it, you catch it, or it's a drop. There is no gray. And so we got to make sure, I think when we touch it, we had a couple times that we should have made plays in the ball, period. With that being said, I thought that like I said, in the big picture, we had, had some our ups and downs in the run game. I thought the offensive line and receivers and everybody else tight ends did a really good job. And, our guys made some plays in the run game. But we have to, the players know I'm a 3-phase guy, and they have to be good in all 3 phases.
No question. Certainly understand that mindset and love it as you move forward here. And look, in talking about Jaylen, I feel like, for a player like that, who obviously has a bullseye, he's on everybody's scouting report, right? I mean, probably one of the first guys that he gets talked about on a Monday, probably over there in Happy Valley right down this week. And how do you help him deal with the fact that he's always going to have that attention on him and trusting in the coaches and finding ways to get him the football where he can use his athleticism? But how do you kind of work that into him here, knowing that, he's always going to have the attention of defense?
I talk to him about it all the time because I've been around a couple of really good players, both in college and in the NFL. And being an elite player is a good thing, but it is like you're saying. And I tell them, I said, when you get ready to go to the restroom, you might have a guy or two from the defense getting ready to follow you in there. But you don't worry about that. You do what you need to do. We're going to do everything we can to put you in the best position that you can help make a difference in the plays. And the biggest thing is do not get frustrated if they come out there and there's 4 guys running around you. Now, for the rest of the backs that are in there, if we ever are in like a 2-back system, I say if Jay Lou's going over there, then there's maybe 4 sets of eyes on him. That opens it up for you, and you really got to step up. You got to play off of that. That's what happens when you have a guy that is going to catch a lot of attention. And so you got to have that balance. And for him, don't get frustrated. Keep on playing. Do the best you can with the amount of attempts that you get. And for the other guys in the team, know that a lot of eyes are on him. So that's helping making your job better. So that's kind of how it's been for all the teams I've had when we've had that guy that everybody's looking at. Yeah,
no question. And look, for a player, like Jaylen, who can, he can turn literally any play into a home run, right? Into a touchdown. And I feel like sometimes it's probably pretty difficult for him, understanding, hey, if I could just make one more move, make one more guy miss, then I'm going to break free. But I'm sure there's a running backs, the running backs coaching you is like, sometimes let's just put that foot in the ground and get upfield, Right. And so how do you measure that balance with him?
Well, what I've learned for a lot of good backs is, and I've said this to my backs numerous times, just do the ordinary things extraordinarily well and good things will happen. The one thing you can pretty much guarantee is if you look for a home run and I got to go make a big play, the chances of that have went down to about 0%. Yep. Because then I'm going to step out of my progression and how I'm supposed to attack the defense. And I'm going to try to just run past everybody. And it's hard to do that. So the bottom line is the most big plays that happen both in the pros and in the college come from you having a normal play, it breaks down, or the defense breaks down, and then you just may catch the ball on the screen or catch the ball out in the flat, or as we did last week on that nice shot down the field. Yeah. But as a runner, just keep running and trust the process. And that will keep you right. Then you'll get your chance to have your one-on-one matchups that can make a difference. And then you got to make one guy. You got to be better than one guy. And if you do that, then the big plays will happen. Instead of if you have a vision that I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do such and such before the play, almost every time it gets you in trouble, all the time.
No doubt. And watching, Jaylen, and lastly here on him, you talked about the punt, and obviously that's one that he wants back. He feels like a player that's really hard on himself a lot, and the great ones usually are. And then, I think there was the short kickoff that I think he really wanted to field, didn't get a chance to, and then kind of came back and had a couple of those tough catches tough throws that were kind of coming his way on that next offensive possession. Felt like the frustration kind of started to creep in a little bit. How do you help kind of corral that and turn that back the other way?
No matter what, that play is over. And I think especially for all players, and, Jaylen's still just a sophomore as he's coming up, but for all players, listen, there's going to be some bad players all the time. Yeah. The coaches, I will tell you all the time, will say, hey, I wish I had that call back. Yeah. A player will say, man, do I wish I had that play back. I remember numerous times even when I played, and a lot of players talk about it now, what's that play going to look like on film? They're thinking about this during the game. So what I tell them is, erase it. That play is over forever. Learn to keep the good from a play and try to lose the bad, and don't have repeated mistakes. You can't let one play that happens to you in the second quarter, for example, affect you in the fourth quarter because you're still thinking about the play in the second quarter. You got to be able to wash it, flush it, and keep your mind on where you need to go. And I am a big believer in keeping positive thoughts and positive things in your mind, and don't worry about all the things that don't go right, because in every game at some time it ain't going to go right, but you got to be strong enough to block out all the noise, including how you're talking to yourself, and go do it.
Wise words for sure. And, you know, I think I would echo the sentiment, not that my opinion of it really matters, but felt like your guys really had a terrific game, you know, this week in terms of, you know, where they were in previous weeks. And obviously it doesn't translate to a win. So, you want to kind of keep moving on that trend line, but we understand what the ultimate result is. But looking back on some of that good, Trent Howland certainly felt like he represented some of it with the way that he was moving the football and aggressive downhill running the ball, Coach. And how have you kind of noticed his progression and earning more of those opportunities to make an impact in the game?
Well, I've been trying to look for a way to get him in the game for quite a while. We've had some backs that have been ahead of him who have really done a lot of good things. But I've seen flashes. I've seen flashes for him. But this year, he just seems like he's more focused in, and he's been prepared. Whereas sometimes when as a younger player up, or if you're not playing, you're kind of down, then you get back up and down. But this year, he seems like he's really been on target. And if you ask me, I'm not surprised at all about the production that he has had, because he's been showing that in practice. For all new players like him, though, the thing is you got to be able to stack them. And he's had really he's had back-to-back pretty good weeks. And so for a young player like that, hey, go out there, take the advantage of your opportunities, protect the ball and the quarterback, and handle your business. And I know every running back has dreams about going out there and having an explosive play, but do the ordinary things extraordinarily well, and the big plays will come. So I'm not surprised. I would say this at all about what he's got going. I think we have a deep room, and I think we got a lot of talent in our room. And so I'm very happy with what he did.
And look, Trent, obviously the size speaks for itself, right? 6'3", 235, 40 pounds. And so I think the natural inclination for a lot of folks is like, all right, this is the guy that needs to carry the ball on 3rd and 1, right? This is the guy that needs to carry the ball on the goal line of 4th and 1. And while that may be the case, there is more to that than just size, right? There's technique to short yardage goal line running. Is that an area where you do feel like Trent can become a bit of a weapon for you guys?
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. He has proven numerous times through practice that he's been able to do it. He's just got to, it's hard because if you're not normally in the rhythm of a game, it's kind of hard to bring you in just for a special situation, because third down makes and goal line, as we all know, are really critical to your success. So the greatest thing is that when he starts playing, he has shown as second I'm in there, I'm ready. And I'm not saying he hasn't, but this year he's shown it. As soon as I go in, I'm ready to go. And the backs, again, in my room, no, do not tell me that I'm going to go get warmed up and then things will be good. That's never a good thing to tell Coach Johnson. Yeah. So he has been ready. He's been ready to go in the game, and he's made some difference. And, he deserves to get a chance to get in there and play a little bit.
No doubt. And then looking at what you've gotten from Christian Turner, especially over the course of the last few games with Josh out, feels like he's really been a valuable asset to this offense in this run game. Coach, I've just noticed watching from the booth, it feels like he has terrific vision in between the tackles and bursts. When he sees something, it feels like he hits it. How would you kind of describe what he brings to the table as a back?
Just like you did, Coach. Yeah. I think you nailed it on the head. And that's exactly what he brings to the table. He's done that. He's been a really good pass protector, and he knew he had to work in the passing game here, and he has worked very hard at that, and it showed up. He made a tough catch on the 4th down play in the game. And so I'm really happy with his progress. I think he's done a really good job, and he does. He's got tremendous feet.
And I know that you'll be excited when Josh is available to get back into game action. We saw him back at practice a little bit this last week, but he feels like a stabilizing factor. As an older guy in the room, a guy that's kind of very level-headed. But man, what a competitor! What kind of value just to bring to the room, having him back around and kind of ready to start ramping back up here a little bit. Does he bring?
I think he brings a lot to the table because he brings a lot of maturity into the room. He understands the schemes inside and out. You tell him one time, that's it. He understands what he's doing. And while people have asked me, well, tell me about Josh, I said, here's what he is. He's consistent and he plays full speed all the time. And he gets the most out of his ability. And he's been a really good player for us. That's the kind of guy you want to have in your program. He's good. He's consistent. You can trust him. He knows the entire offense inside and out. And so he brings a lot to the table, along with being not just as a runner, but in all three phases. Tremendous pass blocker, tremendous hands, and a route runner, and he's a good runner inside. So, he's a 3-down back in my mind.
No question. It's great to see him. It just feels like such a valuable piece for sure. We've certainly been lucky to have him these last couple of years. Excited to get him back out on the field whenever he's ready. And then, Coach, you mentioned, talking about the offensive line, talking about the tight ends, who are obviously a big part of the run game. How do you, as a coach and your communication with Coach Bostad and Coach Wright and kind of understanding how you all kind of fit together and then filtering that down through the players, do you start to see some of that communication from the running backs with some of the offensive linemen and the tight ends and everybody trying to get things on the same page?
I demand that from the backs. They'll talk all the time, not necessarily with me or at the practice or maybe a little bit after practice. And they say, now, if we're going to run this play, I'm going to hit it like this. So I need you to da-da-da-da. Yes. And then the lineman might say, well, if I do this, now you're going to make sure you're going to run here, right? That's good because that little difference makes all the difference. And everybody has got a little different style. That includes the backs. The backs got a little different style, how they're going to hit the hole. Everybody doesn't hit it carbon copy, but they're going to basically hit it this way. And so they also, the way the linemen are, I know, taught to have their rules and their techniques, but everybody's a little different. So you get to know each one of your players and how certain guys are going to do it. And that includes run, and that also includes pass protection. So that nonverbal communication or the communication away from the live game is critical. And I pretty much demand for my backs, you make sure you talk to the right tackle, the left guard, the center, whatever. What do you see? This is what I see. We're getting on the same page. And that way, I think that's how a team learns how to mature. The coaches give them the instructions, but the players are going to be responsible to making sure they take that to the field and then talk with their groups, the linemen, the tight ends, the wide receivers. That's what I need to do for you. And as I've told the backs, if you can't pass protect for them, then it's going to be hard for them to run block for you. So understand, it works two ways. So
that's
I'm
great.
big on that.
No doubt. I was actually, it made me think of a story. A buddy of mine, Jacob Hester, played running back in the league for a while, was a fullback in the league, played at LSU. Said he went for a tryout to the Denver Broncos when Peyton Manning was there. And, he showed up for the tryout, and it's basically just Peyton and a couple of managers out there. And Peyton is running the tryout. And, he didn't take any handoffs, didn't throw any passes. All he did was simulate some pressures and see how Hester would pick them up. And at the end of it, they start walking off the field, and John Elway starts walking to GM at the time, starts walking towards Peyton. And Jacob tells the story. He's like, Peyton taps Elway on the shoulder and goes, sign him.
Just like that.
That's it. That's how important it was. He had to have somebody that was he could trust to protect back there, kind of as that last line of defense, right?
Yeah. I'm telling you, anybody that's been around Peyton, and I have been a little bit, he's a little bit of a stickler.
Yeah,
so,
a little bit.
Detail, a little bit. So I would just say this, that's kind of how it goes. And when you're a quarterback in the room, you got to trust that your back can block. If you're a back, you got to make sure you run a sharp route so the quarterback knows where you're going to be. I'm huge on that with spacing and timing in the passing game. And then obviously you can run the best route in America, but you got to catch the ball. So I don't care. So you run a good route, finish the route by catching the ball. If you touch the ball, for the most part, I mean, every now and then I give them a little bit of a break.
Sure.
I mean, maybe 1% of the time.
Maybe 1%.
But if you touch the ball, you should catch the ball. And if you don't, it's a drop, and that's not good. So that's the standard I hold my guys to. I hold them to high standards. I think I got some guys that want to be coached that way. They want to be coached hard. They want to have the details. And without the little pouty look, that was a drop. Yep, sure was. So, but that's at the end of the day, I want their standards to be high because like I said, I do think I have a room that's got some ability, and I'm going to hold you to a high level, and I hope that you want to be coached to that high level. And I've told them, if you know what, for whatever reason, you don't want to be coached, just come meet with me and tell me, Coach, I'm not that good. But I have yet to have that happen. So,
That's right.
So the bottom line is I'm going to coach them at a high level, do the best I can, and tell them to be fundamentally sound, 3-down player, play hard, be a team player, and do what you need to do.
Well, it's clear you've had success doing that your entire career. I am kind of curious, how much do you talk, for spending almost, 20 years in the league, Coach, like how much do you talk about what some of the things you learn and see at the professional level and try to, instill that in your guys here at this level?
Occasionally. I would say probably about every 3 weeks or so, I'll just break out a tape about, let me show you what some of the guys I've been connected to. This is how they play the game, so you guys understand. So I'll break out some tape on I won't bring out their names, but I'll bring out some tape on a certain guy and give them about maybe a 3 to 4 minute highlight film. This is what he does. So when you hear me talking about you have to be able to get skinny in the hole, this is what I mean. So this versions of that. And so while I will refer to the NFL guys, I don't coach my guys like the NFL guys.
Sure.
I coach, take pieces out of that because they're not NFL players. So, but I do, I mean, they all want to talk about it. So every now and then I just give them a little bit of a taste of what it looks like, what it's going to be like in a meeting room. This is how an NFL-led team is going. I'm going to show them that. That's one thing they can get from me. But I don't waste a lot of time on just watching pro film because while it's football, it's a different level. They have nothing but to do.
That's right.
Do football. We got a lot of other stuff in college. So I try not to go overboard with that. Well, but every now and then, especially Josh, but some of the other guys, they'll probably, well, what did such and such do?
Yeah. Well, you don't have to say the names, but I will. There's been some phenomenal ones. Chris Johnson, Rashad Jennings, Andre Williams, Saquon Barkley. You've had a terrific run, and I know those guys appreciate all that you poured into them as well.
Yes.
Lastly, Coach, here, you do spend a while in the NFL and then getting back into the college game. What have you enjoyed about coming back to this level?
The relationships. That's part of the reasons I came back. I did not know Coach Allen, but I had a chance to coach against him in 2020 when I was helping as an analyst at Maryland. And I watched his team, and I loved the way they played on fire. But that along with the relationships, because as I've told my guys a couple of times, you can't capture the relationships that you have in the NFL like you can in college because it's just more of a group, and in the NFL, it's a little bit more of a business. So while you can get close to your guys, there's always friction and agents and this kind of stuff. And the college, I just like being able to help pour into a person's life. It's important for me to get them. And I have told every one of them, my job is to get you to be the very best player that you can be. But more importantly, I want to know what's your plan. Okay. What are you going to do when you get done with college? Okay. I hope that you play multiple years in that next level. But what if you don't? Then what? What are you thinking? And I'm going to ask them that they're going to get that, start processing some of that because I care more about the person than I care about the player. And that's a big deal. So that's what I try to do and give my 2 cents. And I'm, people keep saying, well, do you flash and all that stuff? No, I don't wear all the rings. No, that stuff doesn't matter. I just try to keep it real, keep it level. But the bottom line is if they're helping, doing academically, make sure they get to degree. Okay, make sure they have a vision about where they want to go when they're done with football, because at some time they don't want to hear it, but sometime you're going to be done with football. And then what's your vision about maybe going back home and helping some of the people from your community? All those kind of things are important. And I learned that and I passed that. So we talk a little bit about that occasionally, but I'm going to keep ringing that bell and keep trying to make sure these guys grow up, because what I want is I hope and pray that when they walk away from getting the chance to meet me, they will say, you know what? He didn't push me to my limit. I wish I would have found the guy that would have.
Oh, yeah.
So I have always said, I'm going to try to push you to your limit. And if you like me every single day, I'm not probably doing my job, because I got to make sure I find your buttons to get you to be where you need to. If you never like me, I'm also going to have a problem, because there won't be a relationship there. So I'm going to have a little bit of both, and try not to clutter their mind too much while they're on the field. But I got certain things I got to get done and certain things that are important to me that I need to see them prove all the time and keep them on a high expectation to get better all the time. Every week, I need you to be better than you were the week before.
Well, these guys are certainly lucky to have you, Coach, and we've been very fortunate to have you here with us at Indiana these last couple of years, and certainly looking to get some of these opportunities turned the right way here down the stretch of this season. I know you'll be a big part of it. Coach Craig Johnson with us today on Under the Hood with IU Football, presented by your Central Indiana Ford dealers, a proud sponsor of IU Football. Coach, again, thanks very much. Really appreciate your time today. Reminder to all of you out there that we'll be back with you on Thursday, another episode of Indiana Football Live, as we look ahead to IU traveling to Happy Valley to take on Penn State this Saturday. Thanks, everybody. Have a great week.
Thanks, Rick.